so we're going to introduce ourselves first. I'm Brian Schroeder.
I'm Daniel Stout.
And I'm Kevin Kennedy.
And today we are going to be discussing our natural resource Wreck-and-Eco project.
Our project was to remove invasive species at the Christmas tree tract of the school forest, and this is a brief description of the site. It is 266.92 acres of planted pines and hardwoods. It is located at the intersection of Willis-Stillis Road and Adams Road in Tift County on the northeastern corner. The property is owned by ABAC Forest LLC. The two stakeholders that we were dealing with were Dr. Moore and Mr. Allison. When discussing this with them, they had a few objectives. The primary objective was to remove invasive species along the roadsides, and the secondary objective was to clear the roadsides, making it easier to access the property. If you look over here on the left-hand side, you'll see the map of the property, and with the boundaries in red, and the patch in the middle that's a slightly lighter orangish red color is about where we were working at in clearing the property.
Right, so for this project, we had two primary species that were invasive. We had muscadine, which is a native species, and can become very invasive and also create a fuel ladder leading up into the canopy. We also had Chinese privet, which is a non-native species. It's also extremely invasive. Separately, they're not too bad to manage, but since they were together on this site, the muscadine kind of would overtake the Chinese privet, which made it extremely difficult to hack and get rid of for our project.
We selected cut stump herbicide treatment as an option for Chinese privet. We found an article on the University of Florida Institute of Agriculture and Food Science Extension Service, and the article described ways to remove Chinese privet with the stump cut herbicide application method. Over here, this is just a snippet of the article. It is written by R. Williams and P. Minogue. They say that just cutting Chinese privet will not prevent future growth, and go into saying that you have to spray herbicide on the stumps right after they're cut. The herbicide they recommended using was Arsenal, 1 quart of Arsenal per 1 gallon of water. And we used, because we have 32 ounce spray bottles at ABAC, which are a quarter gallon, we mixed quarter gallon of water with a quarter quart of Arsenal. Before we went out and removed the privet and muscadine, we kind of scouted the area. We saw that the privet was mixed in with the muscadine and decided that these tools right here would be the best available. What we did was we used a bow saw to target larger, about 2-inch diameter privet stumps. The loppers got the 1/2-inch, 1-inch size privets coming out of the ground, and we used a machete to cut the vines that were holding the privets while we were trying to pull them out of the dense brush. This is just a closer look at the herbicide we selected. Like I covered before, we got guidelines from University of Florida IFAS Extension. We mixed 1 gallon of water per 1 quart of arsenal. We also added blue dye to the mix because we wanted to know what we already sprayed. One more important thing I want to stress is when cutting down the privet with a bow saw, it's important to wipe away the sawdust from the privet. And that is one thing we noticed as soon as we were cutting down the privet, that there's a lot of sawdust, and we didn't want the sawdust to get in the way of the herbicide and just have the herbicide wash off. One more thing is that we wanted to make sure it wasn't raining when we were applying the herbicide, or that rain wasn't forecasted for that day. So what we would do is we would just check the weather channel and see if rain was predicted for the day we were going to go out. And if by some chance rain did occur while we were out there, we had a plan to come out after it had stopped raining and just kind of do a follow-up treatment, spray the stumps again with herbicide. Our application process was a little bit different than we had originally planned. At first, we had cut down privet and tried to pull it out manually, and that privet was just, if you can kind of see here, it was so wrapped up in the muscadine that we actually had to tie a tow strap to a privet branch that we were cutting out. We would cut around all the privet stumps in the area that were connected to a single branch, and then this over here was attached to my truck, and when we got one big privet plant cut down, we would kind of slowly just drive away with the plant attached. And what that would do is it would put tension on these vines here, so we could follow up with the machete and free up the privets that we wanted to remove. And as you can see here, as soon as we pulled it out, well, actually before we pulled it out, like as soon as we cut it, we would come in and we would spray the stumps with our herbicide mixture. This right here is our removal piles. When we would pull out the invasive plants from the roadside, we would accumulate a lot of debris. Part of our plan for follow-up treatment, which we will discuss later, was that we're going to spread out the debris about 5-6 paces off the road, and the debris would dry out and act as fuel for later burns.
Alright, so this is the application that was applied before and after in our first section. So this would be the before on the left, and on the right we have the after. You can see on the left side of the trail there's this very thick Chinese privet and muscadine combined. This made it extremely difficult to remove, and also made a very kind of moist mat underneath it. On the right here, after, you can still see on the left side of the trail where most of it's gone. We've expanded the trail drastically on the left side, whereas before you could barely get the vans to drive through it without scratching up everything, and now the road's like double in size and you're not going to hit anything. You can also see on the right side of the trail in the before picture still a good bit of invasives, not as bad as the left was, and then you can see in the after where it has been removed as well. We managed to get further on the right side, further back off the road. And it was mostly privet on the right side instead of muscadine, which made it a lot easier to remove. But we managed to go out 33 feet on the right side versus the left, where on the left we focused on expanding the road as much as possible. Alright, so this is the application before and after for our second section. We actually finished our first section, still had roughly 5 hours per person left over. So we decided to continue down the trail to do the same thing, expanding it and removing the invasive species. So on the left you see the before, and on the right you see the after. In the before, it was the same thing. It's Chinese privet, the muscadines mixed together. It's smothering out everything. It's going to be really difficult to do a controlled burn through there because it's just not going to carry very well through that dense vegetation, mostly due to it being moist. There's also a danger of doing a controlled burn because of all the leaf litter and pine needles that are stacking on it. So, a bit hazardous if you were to try and do a controlled burn through there. So on the right, which is the after, again you can see it's somewhere over here where we started on the second section. You can see down there how we finished our first section. Again, it's very wide, more open. Now it'll be able to air out from and hopefully get rid of some of the moisture. So it should be better for a controlled burn to travel through there now, and it's no longer going to create that dangerous fuel ladder that it was previously. We tried to go further and try and connect our two sections with the first section from a previous group. So that was kind of our goal when we were doing this second section.
2 weeks after we got done completing the clearing of the 2 zones we were working on, we went back out to the site to evaluate the effectiveness of our herbicide application. While out there, we were looking for new growth or regrowth from the areas we cleaned out. If any was present, we were going to either have to recut or respray the areas where this growth was being persistent. While we were out there evaluating this, we came across no new regrowth and no more invasives encroaching into the areas that we had cleared. The future of this property is going to be determined by the management that takes place after the work we have done. Active management of this property is going to be key in order to maintaining the roadways that have been cleared and the invasive species that have been removed. If no management of this area happens, the likelihood of these areas becoming back overgrown and back infested with these invasive species is more likely to occur. Due to the limited time we had on this site, we were unable to treat every invasive species in our work area. There was also a large amount of muscadine extending into the canopy, creating ladder fuels. We tried to get as much as we could done with the time we had, but there's still a lot of these ladder fuels remaining. These ladder fuels are going to have to be removed if prescribed fires are put on the landscape. The areas where the Chinese privet has taken over and really suppressed the understory are going to have to be cleared as well in order to be able to have a fire carry across the landscape. These fires need to be conducted during the growing season. This is due to growing season fires controlling woody vegetation and promoting herbaceous growth. Now, just an evaluation of the property, just coming into the area, that we noticed a lot of invasive species further into the wood line away from the road. These include more Chinese privet, China berry, as well as much more muscadine extending into the canopy as well. These are going to have to be controlled in order to prevent them spreading back into the areas that have already been managed. And then after management of these species, you're also going to have to go in at least once or twice a year to evaluate your management of these properties.